Funny story really. I had to beat him to death with his own video. Alright lads, Rationality Rules, explainer of the logical fallacy and anti-theist. I see a lot of anti-theists using the logical fallacy, and I'm not a fan of this approach on the whole, because what happens is they don't bother answering the question, they just point out what's wrong with the question. But at least this guy, he will actually answer the question, whereas some of them don't. So here he is with his nut-picking fallacy.
This is what evolutionists have been searching for hundreds of years. This is called the crocodile. Can you see this?
God, what a numbnut.
Similar to the straw man fallacy, which occurs when someone deliberately misrepresents a proponent, position, or argument as to make it or them easier to confront.
This is called the crocodile.
The nut-picking fallacy occurs when someone accurately confronts a weak proponent, position, or argument, but presents it or them as if they are a standard or even strong proponent, position, or argument.
Okay, so that's easy to understand. You take the biggest jackass you can find, and you make out the whole group is just like that jackass.
Now, my personal favourite examples are in context of the United States election of 2016, during which Republicans and Democrats alike made nut-picking as American as baseball and apple pie.
I've got a Trump pamphlet here, but I've replaced all the quotes with Hitler quotes.
So today, we sent David Webb to Wisconsin to ask the demonstrators, what are you so upset about? Watch this.
So, on the left-hand side, we have the Inside Edition showcasing nuts who support Donald Trump, and on the right-hand side, we have Sean Hannity showcasing nuts who oppose Donald Trump. In the words of the latter, watch this.
I do not see why man should not be as cruel as nature. Well, why do you think he comes up with that?
Well, man is the cruelest animal.
Are you protesting Donald Trump? Yes. What's the policy that you object to? All of it.
Just like the things he says about women and like the racism.
Like what?
Great liars are also great magicians. Wow. Well, I think that, you know, he's gonna lie in any way, probably to like support the country, to keep the country going.
Good.
There'll be good lies.
Are you working with a group? You've got a UAW sign right there.
Donald Trump has accused me of whatever. No, I do not. Yes, I am union. Union is standing.
So do you still support Trump?
Yeah, but I don't support Hitler.
With the way things are, I think Trump is gaining a lot of ground because he's,
Well, but you support these quotes, though, right?
Well, if Donald Trump said him, I'd support him.
I'm glad you point this out, and I know you wouldn't go for a weak target at all, would you?
Anyhow, as always, thank you kindly for the view. And if you know of an asinine comment, tweet or clip that's gone full retard, let me know in the comment section below, and should I feature it in one of my videos, I'll be sure to credit you as who requested it.
Oh, you do go for some weak target, but you're not quite nut-picking yet, so let's continue watching your video.
You have to admit, whether you support Trump, oppose Trump, or have absolutely no craps to give, these nuts are, to put it politely, aggravating. But here's the thing, the Insider and Hannity are not guilty of nut-picking simply because they gave these loons a microphone. No. They are guilty of nut-picking because they conflated these nuts with the whole group to which they belong. They treated them as if they are typical representatives. The Inside Edition did this by consistently conflating, with condescending music, a handful of nuts from the most populous county in the whole of the United States with all Trump supporters.
Watch what happens when Donald Trump fans are read what they thought were quotes of his.
And Hannity is guilty of nut-picking because he conflated the nuttiest people he could find at a protest with the whole Democratic Party.
America's going to be watching, and America's going to say, why do we want this in the White House again? We've had this for 8 years.
Yeah, thanks Obama. What's more, Hannity further poisoned the well by showcasing, and then once again conflating with the entire Democratic Party, a violent nut in Janesville.
You see an elderly person literally punched in the face.
Seriously, Obama, for crying out loud.
Well, I'm absolutely sure you wouldn't take one nut job and then conflate it with a whole group of people.
Ham tweeted, "Those who believe in the Big Bang did not see it happen. It's their belief. It's about time evolutionists admitted they have beliefs." So first of all, let me get this damn straight. Evolution has nothing to do with the Big Bang. Please, creationists, stop pretending that it does. Just stop it.
Okay, so you're guilty of nitpicking yourself.
Anyhow, there we have it, folks. 2 juxtaposed examples of the nut-picking fallacy. Now, despite the low-hanging nature of both of these videos, they each accumulated massive traction, and that's the problem.
Personally, I don't see the problem with it. Anti-theists are always at it. They are some of the worst offenders of this.
In the age of echo chambers, nuts are a primary ingredient of virality, and it's precisely due to this fact that detractors are massively incentivized to engage in such rhetoric.
But it seems that the left has not one credible voice left.
Enter Exhibit D, Sargon off a CAD. Truth be told, I don't particularly dislike Sargon. I don't go out of my way to watch his videos, but from what I have seen, and I might be wrong because I haven't watched all of his content, he's pretty liberal. However, he is, without doubt, one of the absolute worst offenders of nutpicking.
No. I've already told you, the worst offenders of nitpicking are anti-theists. They pick on the weakest targets possible like Ken Ham, Hovind, and all the other idiots they can find, and then conflate that with all Christians. They do it all the time.
His recipe seems to be, Step 1, find a nut. Step 2, ridicule and expose that nut. Step 3, conflate that nut with the entire group to which they belong. Step 4, profit. To demonstrate this, let's take one of his recently published videos. Here's one, it's titled, The Left-Wing Doommongers Are Wrong, and it's loosely, very loosely, I must say, a response to the end-of-the-world claims made by some climate activists.
It really seems that the left is about to leap off a cliff, and as you can see from Lily Allen's tweet, well, if it wasn't these Muslim guys, someone would have raped these women. And Michael Moore recently, again, like yesterday this was on a podcast where he said, white people have not changed, you should be afraid of them. This is what the left will say in response to it, because look at this. Sickening and disgusting. You lunatic. But it seems that the left has not one credible voice left. Jeremy Corbyn, in 2009, Al Gore was saying there'd be no ice caps left. The left has gone mental.
But has it though?
Is he though?
Yes, the left have gone fucking mental. And even the people you class on the normal left, they don't even bother calling them out. But this video's not really about nitpicking. It's about your Sargon pie right there, and particularly number 4. And really you should feel a bit of a jackass, because you're guilty of everything on that Sargon pie. You find your nut, you crack it, you conflate it with the entire group, and then you make money from it. I personally have no problem with it, but don't make out like anti-theists are not scraping at the bottom of the barrel and doing the exact same thing, because they are. Fundamentalist Christians, perhaps the easiest targets of all, because they haven't even got past the book of Genesis, and there are plenty of Christians that call out people like Ken Ham and Hovind. I actually think this is your worst video.
Maybe, just maybe, Sargon is conflating the nuts with the whole. I mean, I for one am on the left, and yet I find Lily Allen's tweet ridiculous, Michael Moore moronic, Jeremy Corbyn dangerous, and the end-of-the-world climate claims utterly hysterical. In fact, I haven't met a single person who isn't religious that believes that the world is going to end in 12 years.
Oh well then, I guess if you haven't met one, I guess they don't exist.
Ham's tweet might as well say, those who believe in the Big Bang did not see it happen. It's their belief. It's about time Copernicans admitted they have beliefs. Secondly, and to get to the crux of Ham's assertion, we don't have to see it happen in order to know that something has occurred.
AOC has a huge following on Twitter, over 6 million people, and it only takes a small percentage of those to believe that the world's going to end in 12 years. And she's also a congresswoman, so it's fair play to point out her bullshit.
So Carl's objection seems to be that his nuts are not just some random people off the street.
I didn't just find some random nut on the street, did I?
But rather, they are politically engaged, famous people with a large status and a lot of influence.
Famous pop star, very politically engaged, in the news regularly. Well, again, he's an influential filmmaker. He's, again, an influential voice on the left.
And I, of course, 100% accept this. Lily Allen and Michael Moore are not just some nuts off the street. They are very famous people. We can call them, if you will, elite nuts. But here's the crux. In regards to the fallacy of nutpicking, the fact that these nuts are famous and influential is irrelevant. If you're criticising one of their views,
if it wasn't these Muslim guys, someone would have raped these women, all white people are evil.
And that view is not typically held by the group to which they belong, If you then assert that it is,
the left has gone mental.
You are committing a fallacy of nutpicking.
But these people do represent a proportion of people on the left. Is it only nitpicking if they represent less than 50%?
The sad truth is that most people don't actually want an honest intellectual exchange. They want vindication. They want to say, yeah, you see, that group I don't like is nuts. And so nutpicking is currently not only as American as baseball and apple pie, but as human as death and taxes. Handing the nuttiest members of your opposition a megaphone is, sadly, an extremely profitable form of rhetoric.
No, it's not profitable. Most people who make videos on YouTube don't make any money whatsoever. So not even making the 50%, so you're nitpicking. And you're nitpicking a few people like Sargon of Akkad and a few YouTubers and conflating it with a whole.
Just as most people today can spot a straw man a mile off, and, crucially, are embarrassed by their team, so to speak, when they are the offender, we need to gently raise our collective consciousness so that most people can spot nitpicking a mile away, and, consequently, are similarly embarrassed.
Most people can spot nitpicking, but is it nitpicking if it's still representative of the left, even if that representation is only a few percent? I don't think it is nitpicking. I don't think it is nitpicking if the rest of them are not willing to call it out, because it makes them equally complicit when they just sit back and say nothing. And even if only 10% hold that view, that's still a characteristic.
So let's now move on to your stronger examples.
The elected councillors in Perth condemning the "it's okay to be white" signs, Jeremy Corbyn saying he won the argument, which, I mean, he is the leader of the opposition. If I recall correctly, he won the Labour leadership with 62% of the vote as well. So I think that you can say that Jeremy Corbyn is representative of the Labour Party, and if people are voting for the Labour Party, then they must be voting for Jeremy Corbyn to represent them, surely.
The key difference between Allen and Corbyn, of course, is that unlike the former, the latter is an elected representative. Both have the attributes of fame and influence, but crucially, Corbyn also has the attribute of holding office.
I don't think you can consider this like just some rando that I've dug up from nowhere, no one's ever heard of, and that I'm saying, look, he represents this group.
And I 100% agree. Jeremy Corbyn is not only an elite nut, but is the leader of the Labour Party, a party which has been, for most of its existence, a staple of the left. But as you've said yourself many times over, Carl, Labour is not the only left-leaning party in the UK.
The Conservative Party in Britain are wet, practically. Like, they're practically socialists by American standards. Bernie would be thrilled.
Indeed, despite protestations to the contrary, the Conservatives are also on the left. In fact, I'm sure you'd agree with me when I say that most people in the UK are on the left. Given this, let me get back to your comment.
I think that you can say that Jeremy Corbyn is representative of the Labour Party.
Yes, I too think that one can say that Corbyn is representative of the Labour Party. One could even argue that he's a strong or even really strong representative of the Labour Party. But his delusion of Labour winning the argument...
We won the argument. We won this. I mean, how can you say that?
...is not typical of the left. Don't you see, Carl? If you define Corbyn's delusion as the left, you are implicitly defining everyone who isn't deluded as not the left. You are helping spread the toxic narrative that only the most woke people are left. You are reinforcing the left pole. You are helping our enemies.
Well, I disagree that it has to be over 50% for it to be not classed as nitpicking. Jeremy Corbyn is a person on the left, and Jeremy Corbyn's hardly the weakest member of the group. Also, they did think they won the argument, which is why MPs are still trying to run on Corbyn's ideas. And you can say most people on the left don't agree with that, but enough do for it to be characteristic. I do feel like you have shifted the goalpost from your first video to your second. Nitpicking when someone presents a weak member of a group, which Jeremy Corbyn, AOC and Lily Allen and those types are not weak representatives, as typical or a strong representative. And they are strong representatives, and they might not represent the whole or even 50%, even if they're only representing 10%.
The nitpicking fallacy occurs when someone accurately confronts a weak proponent, position or argument, but presents it or them as if they are a standard or even strong proponent, position or argument.
Exactly, and I don't think these people are weak members of the group, and I don't think their ideas are weak ideas, especially when there's a decent sized amount of people that believe it, and certainly not when the left allow these people to shout the loudest and represent them. Anyway, I'm going to get off. Looks like Stephen and Sargon are going to have a debate. It should be interesting to watch, and I'll catch you all later.
In fact, she straight up asserted that I was jumping on the anti-trans bandwagon simply to cash in on a far-right paycheck.
Oh dearie me, the alt-right man is here to teach us about his fears for women's sports. Stephen Woodford from Rationality Rules, is jumping on the anti-trans bandwagon. Because when the Bible thumpers are too busy to blame us for every natural disaster on this planet, the trademark skeptics step up to claim that we're destroying Western civilization, piece by piece. People who have never been concerned about women's struggles all of a sudden taking up the pussy hat at the whiff of a far-right paycheck amuse me.
No.